Hey guys, welcome back for more Rune Factory 4. So last time I said the last episode was the end, but I was lying. We're gonna do another episode. So basically we're gonna do an extra episode for our Let's Play. So let's begin with Ventus Wheel.
A dream come true. It's time. I stand garbed in the purest white, awaiting the arrival of my groom. He comes to me step by measured step. I had Volcanon conduct the ceremony. He mopped the sweat from his brow, doing his best to manage it all. I heard, "Do you vow to love and honor, to comfort and console?" But my nerves drowned out the rest. "To cherish for all time?" The final line rang in my ears, snapping me back to myself. I do. I desperately squeezed the words out. While one side of me panicked, another calmly wondered what I was doing. I know, this must be a dream. How fanciful it all was. Me, a dragon, getting married? Once more, Volcanon's voice shook me from my thoughts. "You may now kiss the bride." I am about to wake, aren't I? One always wakes right before the best parts. Dream or no, it's been an age since I felt such joy. I prepared myself for the fantasy to end, ready for the sweet reverie to fade to memory. But it didn't. This is a most lengthy dream. Oh well, much has happened of late. I was tired. I must be sleeping deeply. As that thought went through my mind, my new consort took my hand. "Are you okay?" "I'm well. This is but a dream after all. Waking won't be too terrible a shock." "Well, perhaps maybe a little. Thinking on it now, I should like to banish this dream entirely once I wake." What a coward I've become. Weary, I eased myself into a nearby chair. I'd spent the entire day in human form wearing heels, after all. Removing them, I noticed my ankles were swollen. Oh, this is going to be quite painful. My consort looked at me in concern, but I smiled and shook my head. Ow! As the ceremony wore on, I could bear it no longer, and he caught sight of my poor feet. My toes were in a terrible state. He was instantly by my side. He needn't have gotten that upset, though. It was only a dream, after all. I could push myself a little. Looking into his worried eyes, a sudden realization struck me. Wait, it hurts. It hurts and I haven't woken. This isn't a dream? Woohoo! I really am a newlywed! A little late, I finally allowed this dreamlike reality to sink in. And so, we began our life together as a small but happy family. Before long, we were blessed with children. They're so cute, but I expect nothing less of my offspring. To be honest, I never imagined myself married, much less a mother. I looked down upon them, gently stroking their tiny heads. Though their features were draconic, they had their father's gentle eyes. They were so adorable and precious. While I watched them sleep, he slipped softly to my side. Ah, yes, they had distracted me. There was something very important I meant to tell him today. Might we speak a moment? I have something I must say. I looked my beloved in the eye and began to speak. I have lived many an age. I was here thousands of years ago. And I will still be here thousands of years after you are gone. But right now, I want to spend my life with you, by your side until death do us part. I thank the stars that we met. And thank you for coming here, for choosing me. In all my long life, I have never felt this way before. I love you. I love you so much. Words cannot do this feeling justice. Come, our children sleep. Let me show you that love now. Come, come. Thank you.
Baby number 5. Oh my god.
The end.
Ventus will become human? I mean, this is just scenarios though.
Frey Factory 4.
What? What did she say? Okay, Arthur.
What might have been. So this is Selphia. Now then, I'd best head to the castle. My name is Arthur. Word arrived at the capital requesting an overseer for a certain castle. I was sent. Must the prince himself go? Some voiced this concern, but I would much rather keep such an entertaining duty for myself. Lady Ventuswil herself resides here. Something amusing is sure to happen. Selphia is not ruled by the king, but by the benevolent dragon Ventuswil. Because of that, its relationship with the royal family has been somewhat complicated. The castle gate is certainly impressive. Many of the castle's features are quite sizable, in fact. Perhaps to allow Lady Ventuswil easy passage? In that case, carts should also find it easy to pass through the doors. Very handy. While pondering this, I walked in and was greeted by an elderly butler. Ah, I presume you are the Lord Prince Lady Ventuswil spoke of? He called himself Volcanon. That I am, sir. I requested an audience with Lady Ventuswil and inquired about the state of the castle's affairs. The lady was as kind and gracious as the rumors had said, and even more dignified. The light shining through the ceiling above gave her a radiant, divine even, beauty. I see. With your wings, you can come and go freely without needing the gate. I nodded to myself in satisfaction, having solved the puzzle of Lady Ventuswil's movements. We went through the formalities of my official appointment, and I was shown to my rooms. This way, if you please, Lord Arthur. The rooms were comfortable, equipped with a desk, bed, and other necessities. I requested various records I would need, then sat to look over the documents I had brought. The head butler here is quite competent. So few staff means some things have gone undone. But it is remarkable how much they have accomplished with such small numbers. Here the ruler rules not by fear, but instead through cooperation. It was a far more wonderful system than I had expected. After that day, I worked my hardest to bring further peace and prosperity to Selphia. I think we shall put on a book reading. I sponsored town events and assigned a patrol to the night to keep monsters clear. Little by little, Selphia prospered. If possible, I'd like to hold larger, more profitable events such as festivals and the like. But being decreed by the Prince of Norad turns them into such formal affairs. Both the staff and Lady Ventuswil praised my skill. But I wish I could conduct business more freely, not as the prince, but as myself. At this rate, though the scenery may be changed, life is much as it was back at the capital. I suppose it is nice not to be subjected to the politics of the kingdom all day, though. With that wish ever in the back of my mind, time passed, each day much like the one before. Year after year after year. Huh? Where am I? Wasn't I in the middle of something? Something tedious, and... My mind was still fuzzy, but I forced myself to take stock of the situation. It seemed I had fallen asleep without realizing it. Slowly, I looked around. There was a person very close to me, singing softly. Hearing those gentle words filled me with a curious nostalgia. A moment later, the person smiled down at me and began stroking my hair. Ah! It was seeming more and more obvious that I'd fallen asleep. And fallen asleep somewhere far more comfortable than even the softest bed. Apparently, my pillow was a person. Ah, now I remember. I was on the lap of the one mistaken for royalty, who was now ruling in my stead. Though, if I recall, the message had said prince, not princess. How they mistook that, I'll never understand. It had all seemed terribly haphazard at first, but now I enjoyed that relaxed approach. I moved just enough to look up at the face of my beloved. Realizing I was awake, she startled and exclaimed, "It's not what you think!" "You were moaning in your sleep," she continued, her face a bright cherry red. "I didn't do anything." The way she told it, I'd been so loud she'd heard me from out in the hall. I see. That must have been the dream. I was dreaming. "What kind of dream?" she asked. "Of a future," I told her. "One that could have easily come to pass." "Ah," she said, and tenderly took my hand in hers. Goodness, what she does without thinking. With that simple act, all my worries faded like the dream. "You are incredible." She looked at me in confusion. "We were talking about your dream," she said, but I cut her off with a quiet, "I love you." She pursed her lips into a pout, complaining that I was trying to distract her. And it was a distraction, I admit that, but I also wanted her to know my feelings. I mean it. I can no longer even conceive of a world without you in it. And with that, I laid my head back down upon her lap. Might I stay this way? Just a little longer? She huffed, but did not make me move. Ah, my beloved, expressing the depths of my feelings for you may be more tricky than any political deal. The end.
Honestly, Arthur's voice actor, yeah. Same as Jude from Tales of Celia, if you played that game.
This is the Rune Factory 4
Okay, let's do 40 again, as we're doing all of them.
Becoming a different me. I was really looking forward to our date today. Normally I'd wear my armor, but this time I chose something a little more ladylike. Several people told me I should dress up for dates, so I caved and bought a new outfit. I hope he likes it. Right on time, I saw his approach. "I hope you didn't wait long," he said. I assured him I had just arrived. He studied me for a long moment. Did I look so strange that he was at a loss for words? I didn't know how to react to his silence.
You wore it after all. Thanks. It, looks really nice.
Hearing him say that made me feel so much better. Phew! I had no idea what I would have done if he said I'd look funny. He took me by the hand and said, "Let's go." I let him lead the way. Normally I wouldn't notice, but today I couldn't help it. I felt eyes on us everywhere. It surely couldn't be because of the dress. That would be too conceited of me. How embarrassing. I was truly regretting the absence of my helmet today. Who knew it would take such courage to walk about town in a sundress? We had lunch and chatted, but I couldn't recall any of it later. Goodness! It's too much! I can't take it anymore! Wait here a moment, please. I hurried back home. Walking in, I saw Keel. Forte, is something wrong? He asked. It was nothing really, but I couldn't take it anymore. I dashed to my room. What was I doing? I was supposed to be on a date. But the stairs bothered me, the flimsy dress bothered me. I couldn't concentrate. I was keeping him waiting. I had to go back. Right then, I heard a soft knock at my door. Keel? I opened it and saw not my brother, but him. He stood there, breathless. I liked the dress, he said, but you don't have to force yourself. I told him that I did want to wear it, but my voice quivered. Why don't you change, and then we'll go back out, he said. Okay. He stepped out, and I stepped into my usual garb. Armor on, I was ready to go. I rushed outside looking for him. There! I walked up and asked if he had waited long. He smiled and said no. He'd just arrived. Really? It sounded like a reversal of that morning. A moment later, I realized this was his way of saying we could start again. Let's go, he said, taking me by the hand.
See, I like your normal outfit a lot too.
In my armor, I felt I could do better this time. I leaned closer and put my arm through his. I like this better. We had to redo our date, but this time, I knew I'd enjoy it more. I'm sorry. And thank you. Someday, when I've had more practice, I will wear that dress again. Please look forward to it. I love you. The end.
Rune Factory 4.
Okay, next one. Vishnu.
Butler in training. Good morning, Princess.
Vishnu, we're married now. You don't have to be so proper.
Awaking you with the traditional greeting feels too formal, you say? Oh dear, it's quite the conundrum. Yes, I can see why you might feel that way, but it's habit. Besides, acting too familiar with you may not, provide the best example. It never occurred to me when we first married, but I'm not just a husband now. I'm a father, too. The mere thought that my child might be watching makes me feel like I must act my best. To make things more awkward, my beloved child is starting to imitate me. Hearing them say, "Good morning, Princess," is unbearably cute, but also embarrassing. That Mr. Volcanon gave them their own child-sized butler uniform has only made things worse. They've taken to wearing it every day, copying my actions as best they can. What do you suggest we do? Just as I was pondering this, I heard a noise from the room next door. For all that you think it's a problem, you look awfully pleased. You're enjoying this, aren't you? It's been a daily occurrence for a while now. It was right about time. I looked over at the door. Slowly, it opened. Our child walked through, dressed in their uniform. They introduced themselves as a butler in training, bringing tea. It was a toy tea set, of course. The cup was empty. Hot tea was too dangerous, so only the tray and cup were allowed. Your tea, our child said, but they moved too quickly and stumbled. Watch out! I caught them before they fell. The cup clattered to the floor, but our child came to no harm. Good reflexes, Vishnu, you said, sighing in relief. When carrying a drink, you must focus on your arms as well. Hold them firmly, but not too stiffly. Here, like this. I had to wonder at myself, turning even this into a lesson, but my child was listening eagerly. And you were watching us both, happiness sparkling in your eyes. I had always thought this embarrassing, but perhaps it's a good thing too. Besides, seeing our child like this reminds me of myself when I first began training. My name is Vishnu. I am a new butler in training. My apologies. I shall adjust it immediately. Why can't I do it right? I want to be like Mr. Volcanon. I want to be a real butler as fast as I can. I had more than a few harsh memories of that time, but even those lessons taught me well. And it all led me on a path to you. Don't you think it's great when a child wants to be like their parent? You ask with a smile. True. I'd found it embarrassing, but it was also a path I once walked. Isn't that a good thing? Have confidence. It's a sign of respect. Your words warmed my heart like sunlight. Really? It's a sign of respect? I thought they were just imitating me because it looked fun. Your unexpected words lit a fire of enthusiasm inside me.
Yep.
Your radiant smile made me so very happy you chose me to be your partner. I'm so glad that I was able to meet you. To hide my blush, I turned to our child and began a lecture on manners. It may still be difficult and awkward, but my princess and I will do our best to guide you.
I like that some characters have children on their stories, right? But yeah, Forte doesn't. Very nice to see.
Rune
It's different. I mean, it's
Factory
different than
Force
everyone. Okay, we got a Xiao Pai next.
Welcome to our new hotel. Welcome. I spoke loudly, like always, properly greeting the customers. It seems this place is our cozy love nest, otherwise known as our newly opened hotel. After I got married, I kept helping Mama in my own clumsy way. But with our family growing bigger, we wanted our business to grow too, yes? You did offer to help at the hotel, but it seems I've always worried about bothering you. You also leave first thing to go farming or dungeoning and don't come back until late. It may be selfish of me, but I'd like it if we spent more time together, yes? What depressing rain. It seems this place is too big for one person, but no customers come, and you do not come either. Oh, Mama did say if I was having trouble to open this, yes? It seems I just remembered. All my greeting practice tired me today. Perhaps this box holds the answer to why no guests come. Inside the box was a letter. Dear Xiao, if you are having trouble, please read this. I am in trouble, Mama, so I will read it. Let's see. It says, married life will have fun times, and times where you will wonder. When you are wondering, put on this outfit, go to him, and say this. I I can guarantee it will work, from personal experience. What is this? It is not a method for attracting lots of guests to my hotel, yes? It is for making a harmonious home. No. I want to know this, yes, but it is not what I wanted to know now. Wait. Having his help would be nice, and it may help the hotel prosper. Perhaps if I look at it that way, Mama's advice might be useful after all. First, wear this outfit. Outfit? Mama, this is underwear, and, there isn't much of it. Now, what must I say? Darling, I want to... Oh, goodness. This is difficult, but I must. Darling, I want to be with you today. Phew, I said it. Now what is next? Darling, will you come with me? Ah, it seems this is a request to spend time together. I think. Still, this is embarrassing, yes? Ah! What? Water? Why is there water dripping from the ceiling of a brand new hotel? Uh-oh, there could be a leak in the roof. It seems I must go and check. Oh, great. It is a leak. Ah! I'm soaking wet. I'm sick of this. Please come home.
What the hell was that?
Xiaopai, are you okay? Xiao?
Huh? What happened to the leaky roof? And where am I? What a dream? The new hotel? The rain? It was all a dream? What an odd dream to have, yes? I was unconscious? Ah, it seems I slipped and bumped my head while cleaning the baths again. There's something I want to say to you, yes? I am lonely without you. I won't say be here always, but I want to have you close when I need you.
Me too. I've been working on this for a while, but it seems I've been neglecting you. I'm sorry. I'll do better, I promise.
What? It's a ring. For our anniversary? He was making it this whole time, but he never said a word about it to me. But that would ruin the surprise, you say? Well, yes, it seems it would.
I'm really sorry. Lin Fa scolded me too. I'll take much better care of you from now on.
Well, such fuss for nothing. Who cares about a silly surprise? I worried so much, yes? Even though I was sad and lonely. It seems I love you very much, you know. Very, very much. The end.
Rune Factory 4.
Kill this time. How to raise a
How
child?
to raise a child. My beloved and I got married. Then we had children. I love to read, so the first thing I did was get tons of baby books. I'm on the How to Raise Children ones now. Arthur was kind of exasperated at how many I requested, but no expense is too great for my child.
There, all done. Can you handle it from here?
Of course. Wait, have you burped them yet? Now, what do you do again? Rub their back? Or leave them be? Hang tight. I started flipping through a few books. Most say you're supposed to gently pat their backs. All right, I'll do that then. I held my child and gently patted their back. After a few moments, there was a soft burp. Good, the books had the right answer. Having a good book to refer to for your first child is really important. When they first started rolling over, I got worried they'd get stuck on their belly, so I checked my books. What should I do? Each book says something different. Which way is the right way? In the end, I read through a bunch and just went with whatever got mentioned the most.
You don't have to look up every little thing, you know.
I know I don't, but I wanted to do the best for my baby, and thorough research told me what best was. And besides, looking up and finding an answer gave me a sense of relief. It feels good to know you're doing the right thing. On the other hand, not knowing was nerve-wracking. Anytime something happened, I would run for my books. Then one day, the baby had a fever. Panicking, I grabbed the nearest book. As I did, my beloved gave me a sharp look. You reached for a book before your child? Which is more important to you? Yes, you're right. I'm sorry. I hadn't even tried to think for myself. I'd picked up a book before even going to my sick child. I'll think for myself. Promise. I looked my wife in the eye and said that. Then, I made the same promise to my child. Books have a lot of useful information, but you have to think for yourself first. And they have other, better uses for your kids anyway. And so, Mr. Tittles made it home safe and sound with tail held high, master of all that he saw. As bedtime stories for one. It might be a little early, but I wanted to share my love of reading with my child. Books are amazing. With a turn of the page, you can become an adventurer or a king. You can explore new and wonderful lands without ever leaving your room. I'd like my child to experience that joy. Though I'm pretty sure they're still a bit young to understand them just yet. But they seemed happy enough to sit on my lap and listen. After a moment, I realized they were staring up at me. Whoops, almost forgot. And they lived happily ever after. When I said that, my child bounced and cooed with delight. Back when I'd looked in my books for answers, my beloved said we should look up our own way of doing things. She was right. Our child isn't the only one learning. We are too. I reached for the next book and began to read aloud. Leaving our child with my beloved for a bit, I went shopping and ran into Arthur. He told me he'd found a book on raising children so rare that it was legendary. I told him I'd rather look at my child than book pages. Arthur smiled and told me it looked like I'd found my own way. I smiled back and said, and they all lived happily ever after. The end.
Very nice story for Keel, honestly.
Rune Factory 4.
Feels good, I mean. Okay, Margaret.
A
Music.
family recital. Today he and I were going to rehearse together. We set up in our usual spot, in the usual place.
There, how's that?
He plucked a string, checking its tune. Perfect! I listened a moment, then nodded. After we were married, he took up music. He was humble about it, calling it difficult, but I knew he had talent. It didn't take long before we could play duets. Performing together was amazing. Our melodies entwined and capered like dancers on the stage. I enjoyed it so much time would cease to exist. There were days when dusk fell before the last notes escaped our strings.
I think that's enough for today.
Yeah. His voice broke the spell, and we called an end to the day. We put away our instruments and went home. In the beginning, we only played for ourselves, but in time, the town square became our stage. The first request came from Arthur and Lady Ventiswill, wanting more public events. But while our duets were fun, part of me hoped for a trio one day. It never occurred to me we'd eventually have a quartet. In time, our cozy home expanded to include not one, but 2 children. A set of fraternal twins as cute as could be. Exposed to music since birth, they loved it, always copying the little tunes I would hum. They were curious about instruments too, touching and watching closely when we played. Oh, they're so cute! It's still too early for them, but they're figuring out how it works. I talked it over with my beloved. We decided when they were old enough, we would teach them to play. I would be so happy if they liked it, but I don't want to force them. Several months later, the day of their first music lesson finally arrived. We had let them play with instruments, but this was their first formal lesson. I went over the simple chord progression again. I hope they can do it. A part of me was nervous they wouldn't do as I taught them. Go on, let's try it. My children slowly started playing. They thought hard about the melody, plucking each note one by one. The atmosphere was tense and heavy, both fearing to make a mistake. Ah, one of them said. They'd missed a note. I frowned, thinking. My children saw and blanched. My husband had managed it when I first taught him, but perhaps it was too hard for children. I don't want to frustrate them or make them sad. I sat and tried to figure out how to say that when he laughed. His reaction set bells ringing in my head. That's right, music is expression. There's no good or bad. You play with joy and your notes become song. Theirs was just another type of expression. Sheesh, I'm the musician. What was I doing? I picked up my instrument. Then I began to play, matching my song to that of my children's. When the notes came together, it was like magic. Their faces lit up as I joined them. Then he began to play. They say the whole is sometimes greater than the sum of its parts, and they're right. Quartets are so much fun. My children watched me carefully. Then they cautiously plucked out the notes, one by one. It's okay to play what you want. Have fun. And so they did. Tension turned to joy. When they made the earlier mistake and I frowned, that must have intimidated them. I shouldn't have done that. I'm sorry, everyone. And thank you. After that,
all 4 of us would go out to rehearse together. Apparently, a traveler walking by heard us one day, and a rumor started. It said that if you passed by a certain field, you might hear a family of elves playing music. Their song was an auspicious one, and hearing it would bring you happiness. The end.
I like how the episodes are like involving their likes. Like Margaret, right?
Good
She likes
afternoon.
music,
Hello.
and it involves that. Okay, Doug.
To the future. What's going on here? What are they talking about? The two standing there in the doorway of the shop are Granny and my partner. I want to know what they're saying, but I'm too far to hear. Huh? What did Granny just hand over? I'm super curious now. Guess I'll ask them later. It doesn't look like they'll be done anytime soon, so I'll go up alone. Kinda makes me feel left out, though. I'll ask at dinner. I take it back. I'm dying to know what's up. I'm too busy trying to find a good time to bring it up to enjoy my food. So, what were you and Granny talking about earlier?
Oh, I just asked how she was doing.
I tried real hard to make that sound natural, but I got squat. And it sure didn't look to me like they were just chit-chatting. Well, didn't Granny give you something? Again, all I got back was a whole lot of nothing. What are they hiding, dang it? My mind went straight to the worst scenario. It's the Empire, ain't it? They're up to something again. And the two of them are combating it in secret because they don't want to worry me.
What? No.
Now that sure got a reaction. I got a really surprised look. She got up and took something off the shelf on the wall. Huh? What the heck are these tiny things? I took a closer look at the small pieces of cloth. Wait, are these socks? Whose socks? Don't tell me. I looked up and she nodded at me. Oh, so that's what it was. These are baby booties. Geez, Granny, getting ahead of yourself much? I was touched by the gift, but it'd be way too embarrassing to say that out loud. Geez, is that all? That's enough embarrassment for one night. I'm gonna hit the sack. Man, I'm beat. Good night. She looked like she wanted to say something else, but I went straight to our room. Is it really okay for me to be this happy? It's good that the Empire's keeping quiet, for now, but still. If something happens and I have a kid to look after? Well, we might have kids someday. Don't think I'm ready just yet, though. Would I even be able to raise one right? And besides... whatever. Stewing over it ain't gonna help. I should sleep. But my brain wouldn't shut up. Thoughts just kept coming, and I didn't get much rest. Not too long after, I really did have a kid. Now that I think about it, she and Granny were probably talking about just that. Time passed. My kid grew and grew. All that stuff I worried about before? Yeah, not thinking about it now. Several years later, the day of my kid's 6th birthday came. We decided we'd all have a picnic together. We picked a good spot, too. The big field was great for racing. Too slow! I ran around at top speed. Guess we know who they took after. They get mad quick. I look back at my kid, trying super hard to catch up to me. I'd better show him just what we adults can do, huh? I started running again. Faster and faster. As usual, I didn't hold back. Ah! My beloved sat there and watched, her face saying, "What am I gonna do with you?" Don't tell her, but I loved that look. I loved my kid too, so much that I wanted to give him a goal. It seems mean now, but forgive me. Come to think of it, once I got married and had a kid, I changed. All that Empire stuff, yeah, that doesn't bug me anymore. I mean, who cares about him? I got different priorities now. I'm married, I have a kid. It's like being happy changed the whole world. For them, I'd do anything. Anything at all. Ah! So today, I ran. I ran and I shouted, "Hey, you two! I love you!" The end.
Okay, next one is Amber. The Guardians now.
A world-shaking dilemma. Oh no! Danger! Danger! Our relationship is gonna crash on the rocks! I saw it happen with my own eyes. Yesterday, he was in the town square talking with Ellie. I only saw it from far away, but it sure looked like they were having a good time. I couldn't hear much either, but I'm pretty sure they'd said something like together and secret. Well, Ellie is a super awesome person after all. I thought really hard about how to ask him what happened and tried not to cry. Today we're going on a date. I waited and he came. He doesn't know that I saw him having so much fun with Ellie yesterday.
Sorry to keep you waiting.
So, off we went. But I couldn't stop thinking about what I saw. I don't remember where we went or what I ate. Oh, but there was honey! I do remember that. It was so yummy and... oh, what should I do? After a while, he said there was something he wanted to tell me. No! He's gonna say we should break up! I didn't want to hear that, so I stalled. Oh, guess what Venti did? And Volcanon was... Did you know Vishnu went and... Chlorica, she... Oh, Arthur, he... And Keel was all like... Forte was going around. And Meg was... Then Porco? Oh yeah, and at the clinic? This year I wanna go to the beach. I tried really, really hard. But, oh, Ellie, she... When I said her name, suddenly no more words would come out. Hmm? He said. I thought you were acting strange. So you knew? I nodded, trying to keep the tears inside. Then he just said, like it was nothing. It was no big deal to him. I was really serious about us, but he... And then he held out a little box.
Here.
Huh? Was our love boat not gonna sink after all? He looked away, cheeks all red like poppies, and said, It's It's a wedding ring. Huh? For who? Ellie? When I asked that, he looked super confused. What? Why would it be for Illuminata? He told me he wanted to marry me, so he asked Ellie for advice. And Ellie said he should get a ring and do it proper. Oh, so that's what it was! I'm so happy! Inside the box was a ring with a sparkly gem and butterflies etched on the sides. Thanks! I don't remember much of today. I know my heart felt heavy and hurty for a while, but now it's all light and fluttery. Next time, I think I want something that doesn't come in a box. I told him that while my heart soared higher and higher. I'll happily accept this ring. Ta-dum, dee-dee-dee, my honey. Yum, yum, yummy. You and me, my honey. The end.
Did we do Chlorica, by the way? I was moving so fast, I don't remember, honestly. Okay, let's do her last. Let's finish up the Guardians first.
Keeping secrets.
Dillis.
I focused all my concentration on my fingers. Slowly, I opened the oven. Yes, it worked. After much ado, the cake had finally risen. Behind me, my kid jumped for joy. 2 hours left. I checked the time and got ready for the next step. See, today's my wife's birthday. I was planning to buy a cake for her. But then my kid looked at me and said, "Can't we bake one?" Bake one? Starting now? Mama's gonna be home by evening, you know. My kid looked up at me, tears in her eyes. Oh, stop that. I hate when she does that. We didn't have time and we didn't have ingredients. Well, not for anything fancy anyway. I looked at my kid again. That was a mistake. Just a glance was enough to make me feel guilty. Crap. Fine, but it's gotta be simple. That okay? My kid's face lit up and she hugged me hard. "I love you, Papa," she said. Oh, geez. Who could say no to that cute face? Cake baking it was. So, the two of us got started. I let my kid help with the batter. "Do you think Mama'll like it?" she asked as she stirred. "She will, I'm sure of it." "Are you sure, she asked, looking happy, even though the cake wasn't near ready. Okay, now to bake it. I slid the cake tray into the oven. This'll make it fluffy and soft. Fluffy cake, my kid sang. But the cake that came out of the oven wasn't fluffy. My kid stared at it in confusion. What happened? What had happened? It was actually kind of hard. I hadn't measured anything wrong. I looked at my kid. "I messed up," she said. Tears filled her eyes. The not-so-fluffy cake must have shocked her. I'm such an idiot. I can't let my precious kid be sad. Trying hard to sound natural, I spoke up. "Okay, now we can get down to business. Practice time is over. Next is the real cake." I glanced at my kid. How'd I do? Did it work? Oh, it was just practice, she said, looking relieved. Good. Dodged that arrow. I looked back over the recipe. To get it right, I should do it myself. But then it wouldn't be a present from both of us. I decided to let my kid help again, and we got started. Maybe it was because the butter was cold. This time, I melted it first before adding it in. I thought back over where we might have messed up. Why had it gone stiff? I heard my kid say, "I'll stir it." Aha, that was it. My kid had stirred instead of folding the batter and done it too much. I taught my kid how to fold the mixture, and into the oven it went. Please, please work this time. I slowly opened the oven. Yes, success! The cake was just as it should be. Behind me, my kid was dancing around. Now to frost and decorate. I made the frosting while the cake cooled. We had 2 hours left. It probably won't have chilled completely, but she'll just have to forgive me for that. Once the cake had cooled enough, I let my kid stir the frosting. Ta-da! Strawberries! I brought out the strawberries from the fridge. We can put these on top. Ooh, that's lavish, my kid said. Where the heck did they learn lavish? I thought that over while I frosted the cake. Frosting, frosting, my kid sang, twirling in circles. And that's when it happened. Losing her balance, she tottered over, her hands swinging towards the cake. And what's worse, that's when Mama came home.
I'm home. Sorry I'm late.
She asked what happened, so I told her about the gift.
A birthday cake? For me? Oh, that's today, isn't it?
She sounded surprised. What the heck? Did she forget her own birthday? Sorry about the cake. My kid looked down, guilty tears in her eyes. The smushed bits of the cake sat forlornly on the table. But my wife walked up, cut a small piece, and put it on a plate. She took a bite.
This is really good. Thanks for making it for me.
My kid said, "We messed it up, but it's still okay?" She laughed. "It isn't messed up. It's full of love." I ruffled my wife's hair and said thanks. We worked together and fixed the cake as best we could, then cut it into pieces. We even put strawberries on top. Dig in. We sang happy birthday and ate the cake.
That was good.
I looked over at my wife. Was it me, or were there tears in her eyes? Glad you liked it. I looked over at my kid. For some reason, she started crying too. Today's supposed to be a happy day, I said. My wife smiled. They're happy tears. Ah, I looked at her and my kid. Thanks to them, I had a great life. The end.
It is so different for Dillis. Like, he's baking. I mean, he was in, what do you call this? Pork Colleen's, basically shop, right? He was sleeping there. Okay, Dolce.
Pico's plot. It's hard to sleep. My body felt heavy. My arms and legs were stiff. and it felt like something was wrapped around me, squeezing tightly. What is this? I slowly opened my eyes. Before me was a giant Pico. I closed them, trying to pretend I hadn't seen anything. I counted to 3 and opened them to see Pico flying at me this time. I quickly dodged. It wasn't a dream. The giant Pico giggled and dove for me again. Pico, why are you suddenly enormous? I dashed this way and that, frantically dodging her attempts to hug me. She was usually so much smaller. Why was she suddenly so big? I glanced at my surroundings. I was standing on a very familiar table. Aha! Pico hadn't suddenly grown. I had shrunk. Slowly, my mind grew clearer as I woke up. Dolly, can you believe it? Pico said. Dreams do come true. What are you talking about? Just look, you're so close to me, she said, drool slipping from her lips. I took a step back, preparing to run. I think about you all the time, milady, all the time. This must be my reward. Pico's eyes gleamed with desire. This is bad. Alarm bells sounded in my head. It was easy to get rid of Pico when she was small, but this would be much harder. I couldn't afford to let her catch me. It wouldn't end well. Don't worry, milady. I'll be gentle, she said, breathing heavily. I thought hard, desperate to escape. I had to do something. With little other choice, I decided to gamble. All right, Pico, you win. Do as you like. Oh my, she said. I can do anything, milady? All right then, as you command, she set to pounce. But first, could you tell me why you're suddenly so huge? Oh, come, Dolly, Pico said. I haven't grown at all. I just made you smaller. She smirked, her eyes twinkling. Got her. She said she made me small. Which means that she knows how this happened. I stifled my annoyance and asked another leading question. One last thing. Will I ever return to normal? I tried to look sad, for good measure. You are such a worrier, Dolly. But you will be quite all right. The potion won't last long. Potion? When I said that, Pico flinched, realizing her mistake. Explain, please. Looking guilty, Pico began to talk. I bought a mystery item at the market, milady. A potion that shrinks any who drink a drop of it for 10 days in a row. 10 days in a row? Pico, the delicious tea you said you'd found. Nahaha, that's my Dolly. You are correct, milady. It was quite hard adding a drop to your tea without you noticing. But all my effort was rewarded today. Dolly! Pico flung herself at me. If it was a potion, it should wear off soon. I dodged again. And wear off it did, more quickly than I expected. With each escape, I felt myself growing bigger and bigger. Eventually, I slid off the table. Oh dear, that was much quicker than I had hoped, milady. The words had barely left her mouth when I smacked her as hard as I could. Aye! She screamed as she flew to the horizon and disappeared. Time passed. I got married and even had a child. Days of quiet happiness slowly passed until one afternoon, I found a certain potion at the market. Pico, you've been well behaved lately. Let me make you some tea. Oh, milady, Pico exclaimed, sipping the tea. How generous. Well, she's a ghost, so she can't really drink it, only absorb its essence. Still. 10 days of tea later, Pico suddenly shrank to the size of a doll. Yay, a Pico doll, my child exclaimed. Pico spent a busy day as my child's new toy, being marched about the dollhouse. At first she sulked, but I guess she didn't mind the attention. By the end, she was smiling. Now we're even. I smiled at both my child and Pico. Pico smiled back. It's your turn next, milady. Look forward to it. It seems even after marriage and a child, my relationship with Pico will never really change. The end.
I mean, that was nice. I mean, they're always together all the time anyways. So it makes sense that her episode is
Factory 4.
with Pico. Okay, Leon.
Father's Shadow. My child has stopped listening to me. It's obvious why. I am trying to make them do something I myself will not. Do as I say, not as I do. My wife came to me, her exasperation clear. In her hand was a bottle filled with milk. Milk is healthy, good for you. We want our child to drink it. But apparently they don't agree. Milk is an enemy to elude. I guess my genes won out in this case. I despise milk. My poor wife is stuck in the middle. Now then, what to say? People have likes and dislikes? Or to tell her it is but a challenge to overcome? I've long thought not liking things is fine, but when it comes to children, it's not so simple. I let my body help my family while my mind pondered what to do. Before long, our child was asleep and we had a moment to ourselves. My wife was cheerful as always, but I could tell she was tired. Unsurprising. What can I do? I thought on that while watching my beloved. Our child was old enough to be weaned and already starting solids. Perhaps I'll look into it. I asked a question, then made my way to the kitchen. On a shelf, recipe books stood waiting. I believe it was here, yes, on the bottom right. I flipped through the book she'd suggested. There, a meal fit for a child. Perhaps I'll make it for dinner. I followed the recipe exactly. It was simple, hardly what one would call cooking. Time for din-din! Our child, now awake, sat in their chair, a bowl of milk porridge in front of them. They were not impressed. All right, time for desperate measures. I spooned some of the porridge into another bowl and sat opposite. Oh boy, look at this yummy porridge. Time to dig in. I stuffed a spoonful into my mouth. I ate bite after bite, teeth clenched into a big smile. Then my beloved stepped in, saying, "Ooh, it does look yummy." She too had a bite. Honestly, she always manages to surprise me. Our child looked at me, then their mother. I felt as though they were watching for my reaction. If I took another bite and said it was yummy,
would they perhaps do the same? I thought a moment. Honesty is the best policy. Listen, I too am not fond of milk. But if it helps you to try, then I am willing to try as well. I ladled more porridge into my bowl and ate it with a smile, and no few tears. I could see my child think, then come to a decision. They took up their spoon and ate a bite. Amazing. Well done. Filled with joy, I swept my child up in a hug. My beloved joined us, her own joy spilling down her cheeks. Sheesh, all that fuss over milk, I hear you think. But this is my family. Even the smallest of things will move me. For them, I will do anything. The end.
Okay, finish Leon. Let's check Clorca. I think I skipped her, right? No, when we saw Illuminata earlier, I was like, did we do Clorca? I think we skipped her. We went here, then we instantly went here, right? I think so.
With family. Could you wait just a bit longer?
Sure.
Since we both have tomorrow off, let's go out for a family picnic, you said with a smile. I really like that smile. And noticing when we both have time off, that's my darling for you. I started putting together a picnic plan right away. I think I might actually be pretty good at things like packing and organizing. I've been told I'm amazing at it, but it never seemed like anything special. I've always just been able to tell what could fit where, what could go there. So I just put things where they look like they belong, and somehow it all works out. Okie dokie! Tomorrow we'll go to the river, then hike up the mountain, and then have our picnic. How's that sound?
Oh, great idea. I'm sure our kid will love it too.
Oh yeah, I forgot. See, after my darling and I got married, we had a baby. They're still teeny tiny, but just as cute as their daddy. After I put our little one to bed, I'm going to look over the plan one more time.
It's okay, you don't have to.
He always says I don't have to do things I don't want to, but I do want to. I want both him and our child to have fun. And so, picnic day dawned. While I picked both the river and mountain for hiking, our child's still too little to do much. I want this to be fun, not exhausting. First, we went to the river. Since it's dangerous to get too close, we just took a break on the bank. Our child couldn't get enough of the rushing water. My darling had the biggest smile as he watched. I'm so glad I picked this place. Seeing them so happy made all the planning worth it. And it made me feel really happy too. I double-checked our schedule. Time to move on. Shall we head for the mountain? We were barely on our way when I saw the clouds. Oh, drat. I can't believe I forgot to check the weather for today. I didn't want our picnic to get ruined by icky weather, so I picked up the pace. Just before the hiking trail was a little rest area. We had just passed it when big, fat drops of rain started to fall. We didn't want to get wet, so we ducked inside. I'm sorry, I forgot to check the weather ahead of time. It's okay, my darling said.
I was the one who suggested a picnic without thinking. But if only I had remembered to check, then... While we were talking, the rain began to pour down in earnest. Oh dear, it looks like a proper shower. Though it won't last long, we won't have time for the mountain. I frowned at my darling, but he looked over at our child, sleeping against my side. What is it? He said their sleeping face looked just like mine. And with that, he flopped over on his side. Come on, he said. You lie down too. We'll all take a little nap together. Oh well, since we won't get our hike, we might as well. It had been so long since we last went out as a family, I must have been overexcited. I laid down with our child next to my darling. We were like 3 logs in a row. As I got comfy, he leaned over and whispered, "Thanks," in my ear. For what? I asked. He said for planning our outing and for putting up with him. Even though I'm the one who causes all the trouble. After that, we settled in and chatted. We talked about where he came from, Venti, Buttling, and about our future. We don't often get to talk like that, so it made me happy. I wanted to chat more, but I had stayed up late going over the plan for today. And my eyelids got heavier and heavier. Oh, sorry. I fell asleep again, didn't I? When I woke, the rain had long passed and my darlings were playing together.
Oh, morning.
Good morning. He stopped what he was doing and looked over at me. Then he said, "Who had fun today?" And our child said, "Oh, me, me!" with their hand high in the air.
Come on, let's take it easy. We'll go at our own pace.
"We'll go at our own pace," he said. We had lots of fun today. Hearing that made me glad I'd worked so hard on our plans for today. It never occurred to me that making other people happy could make me so happy too. Thanks for teaching me that even failures can be fun. Telling him that, I settled back down to continue my nap, a smile on my face.
Florica!
The end.
Rune Factory?
Okay,
Farming!
so we finished. So yes, pretty nice. Another episode. Very different, I mean. Yeah, very different from each other. It's very unique to each character, I mean. Like, for example, for Leon, like you don't see him like that, but in this episode, he's a dad. Idyllis as well, right? So yeah, very nice to see, I mean. So, we're actually really finished with Rune Factory 4, okay? So Rune Factory 5 is up next, so you want to check that out? Check it out. Maybe I'll just see you. I'll just see you in Rune Factory 5, guys, if ever. Bye-bye.